Right. Sean, Katie, Sean. Continue.
That's it.
Right, so I have wanted to talk about this for a while. This could be an hour long, it could be 5 minutes long.
It's probably going to be an hour long.
No, because I think our views are very straightforward. I think a lot of people on this point.
Yeah, but we tend to get in rants.
That's true. Anyway, so you know how Disney are making a new Ray film?
Mm-hmm.
The director,
Mm-hmm.
who is called Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy. I've probably just butchered her name, but
Probably.
that's how it's spelled.
Ms. Marvel looks like she directed.
Yep.
Yeah.
She recently came out and said it's about time that a woman came forward to shape the galaxy.
Female filmmaker come
Far,
forward
far
to
away.
shape the galaxy.
Yeah.
Far, far away.
Although I've seen a few things. One says that she said she didn't say we need a female filmmaker. She said it's about time we had a woman come and shape the galaxy far, far away. Implying that a character had to shape it. And then
Right.
I think she commented recently and said what she meant was a female filmmaker, which is the thing that we're seeing now. But either or, it just kind of feels weird. And since she said those things, a lot of people have gone back and looked at something else that she said, which wasn't anything to do with Star Wars. She made a documentary about oppression, and afterwards, she basically, during an interview, she turned around and said her job was to make men feel uncomfortable. So now people are sort of saying this is the attitude that this director is going into making this film, which is a bit concerning because it's already not going to do very well with Rey.
Yeah.
This is and I want to make it. I don't blame Daisy Ridley. I blame the character Rey. I blame the writers for Rey,
And
right?
the
The
directors.
character, yeah, and the directors, yeah. J.J. Abrams and Ryan Johnson. But doesn't that just feel weird? So if we start off from a story point of view,
Yeah.
about time that a female character comes forward to shape the galaxy far, far away. Does that not just feel a little bit like they've completely missed the mark?
I mean, Princess Leia
Yeah.
was like a really strong female character.
But the joke is always that, you know, in the originals and the prequels, there's only two female characters, and it's Leia and it's Padme. Obviously, there's characters like Mon Mothma who she doesn't really do anything except
Yeah.
send them all into a trap. You know, but even if you look at post-Disney Star Wars, Jyn Erso was the female lead for Rogue One, and that's a
Rogue One
massive
was
popular
a good-
film,
yeah.
you know, and
Then there's
obviously
the Shaws and
Ahsoka Tano, yeah.
Tano.
Padme. Obviously, Padme is not very well liked in the prequels, but
Yeah.
in the Clone Wars, she's very well liked. Sabine,
Yeah.
Satine, what's her name? Hera.
Yeah.
Gina Carano's character in The Mandalorian before she was written out.
What's she called?
Bo-Katan.
Bo-Katan, that one, yeah, Bo-Katan.
There's
a lot of female characters in Star Wars.
Not even just female characters, beloved female characters, and it makes me go. Ugh,
The thing is with that, and we constantly talk about it, and it's not just Star Wars, it's other media and things that are doing it, where it's like a strong female character and like what is actually a strong female character and what is meant to look as a strong female character, if that makes sense. Like, they are all strong female characters, but the issue with Rey was that she kind of was just overpowered and she just could do everything and was the best.
Yeah.
Without having any kind of trials or any kind of training or
no obstacles,
no losses, no obstacles. She was kind of just the best,
Yeah.
basically, and it was just annoying.
Does it? Yeah.
Because even like Anakin Skywalker, and I've said this before, even Anakin Skywalker had to train. Even though he lost a hand, he lost. You know what I mean? He had these obstacles, but he was still the most powerful in the universe.
Well, I had this talk with someone else recently where they said, because I immediately said, well, what about Princess Leia? Princess Leia is the
obvious one.
The obvious one.
Yeah.
And everyone always says, well, Princess Leia didn't shape the galaxy; it was Luke that shaped the galaxy. But it's like when you think about it, in the climax of the film, Luke's journey isn't about shaping the galaxy. It's his own personal journey with Darth Vader.
Yeah.
The Emperor's like the third most important in that story. You know, it's
about him not giving up on his dad, and
yeah,
he's gonna.
It's about his own personal journey rather than what the galaxy needs.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the galaxy, you know, it goes without saying the galaxy needs Darth Vader and the Emperor to die.
Yeah.
But you know, the story in it is his relationship with Darth Vader.
Whereas Leia's goal is to get rid of the oppression of
to save
the
galaxy. Yeah, it's her, Han, Chewie, and obviously the Ewoks. You know.
Yeah,
they're the ones that actually save the galaxy, and it's kind of like, okay, so you take that, then you take the sequels into account.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've said all the time that the main character in the sequels should have been Finn.
Yeah,
he's the one who had the really cool origin story, you know, and an original story if they'd done it well. But they made it about Rey, and initially they tried to make her out to be like a Luke style character, but then they just turned from like a 5 to a 10 in terms of like instantly she was better than everyone. I mean,
it's like one scene she was said, I don't want anything to do with it. She touched the lightsaber, it was calling to her. She didn't want anything to do with it. She, you know, that was it. She hadn't used the Force. There was no indication that she could, and then all of a sudden it was just like she's mind controlling stormtroopers and using her lightsaber as if it's nothing. It's kind of like, well, you know, Kylo Ren is meant to be this like he was trained by Luke Skywalker. He's related to Luke Skywalker. Like, he's meant to be really powerful, really strong, and he gets beaten by Rey, who's never had a day of training in her life.
Yep. So even things like that, because in my opinion, people probably already know this, and I think it's the same with yours. In the sequels, The Force Awakens is the best one.
The best out of the three, yeah.
Yeah.
That's not saying much though, but yeah.
And it always felt to me like they could have quite easily explained some of those problems away. If they'd just gone, well, these stormtroopers are not like the others, they're all very weak-willed, whatever.
Yeah.
And they'd had, you know, maybe a token from Luke, you know, like they did with Obi-Wan, where he's like, use the Force, and then it explains that even if she'd use a double-bladed lightsaber, and she's like, well, this is like the staff that if she'd spent all that time on that planet defending herself with that staff, that is her training.
Yeah.
But just instantly being amazing with a lightsaber.
Even then, see, I wouldn't particularly like that because, like what we saw in Mandalorian, it's not an easy weapon to just use.
Yeah, but I would have preferred that to what we got,
Yeah.
which was she's just instantly better than everyone.
Yeah.
And then, you know, the thing about the female, you look at if the one that we're seeing here is right, and she said what she meant was filmmaker. Well, that's sort of fair enough, but there's a lot of Mandalorian episodes directed by Bryce Dallas Howard that are very, very loved.
There's other female. Wasn't it a woman director that directed Kenobi?
Yeah.
I mean, fair enough that people have their own opinions on Kenobi. It wasn't the best in the world, but she's, you know, that's not discredit her. She's still.
Yeah.
You know, there were still good moments in it. It had its moments.
You know, and it just feels. I mean, I'll talk about it on a grander scale in terms of Disney in general.
I suppose it's that idea of like films are more important than the shows.
Yeah.
But it's like, aren't the animated shows, in my opinion anyway, and maybe your opinion, better than the sequels?
Yeah.
So, we really...
Clone Wars past season 3 is among the best Star Wars that Star Wars has. From season 4 through to seasons 7. Season 7? 4 to 7 is some of the best Star Wars that Star Wars has ever been. Like, yeah.
Rebels really good.
Rebels was really good. Although a lot of people, and you've obviously experienced this recently, a lot of people tend to fall off of Rebels once Kanan dies.
Yeah, that wasn't so much I didn't like it. It was more just my emotional turmoil, and I found it difficult.
You were devastated.
I was devastated. Yeah.
But it just feels like
they're kind of just discrediting the other female filmmakers.
Yeah.
It's kind of just, either way you look at it, it's discrediting either the female characters or the female directors in either way.
Doesn't paint you in a good light.
For a movie that's already got bad press because a majority of Star Wars fans
didn't want it.
They wanted to just forget that the sequels even existed, and then they announced it. It's like they're just digging themselves into a bigger hole here.
And they are already going up against Dave Filoni's Mandalorian and Grogu film, which apparently that's the working title now. It's called The Mandalorian and Grogu.
Of course it is.
But what the fans have taken to call The Heir to the Empire film. And they're going up against, frankly, a story that loads of people have wanted, which is really, really early
Star Wars, yeah.
But decent enough news. Well, not decent news. Do you know the Star Wars film that David Benioff and D.B. Weiss took part in that essentially killed Game of Thrones?
Yeah.
That's cancelled.
Good. That, my friends, is called karma.
Yeah, but that was about the First Jedi.
I know, it is a bit depressing. Wasn't Chris Evans going to be in that?
I don't know.
And like Brie Larson, I'm sure that was in that.
I feel like Chris Evans is too handsome to be the First Jedi.
What?
I don't want the First Jedi to be handsome. I don't know why.
It literally doesn't make sense.
I have no idea why.
Do you not want him to be human-esque? You want him to be like a...
I don't know. That's a good question, actually. I'm not sure. No, maybe something like...
yeah.
I don't know, like an overly force-sensitive creature. Whatever creature... Was it Bendu he was called? Bendu?
Oh, the
grey.
Big
grey Jedi.
The big grey, yeah.
Something along something
like
that's very force-sensitive, yeah.
Some kind of ancient being.
Something that's not seen modern times. Because this is thousands and thousands of years ago.
Yeah.
I would quite like that. I mean, if they're going to put Chris Evans in loads of prosthetics, then fair enough, but...
I don't know if that's true, but I'm sure I saw something of apparently Chris Evans.
Yeah. But anyway, that's all we're talking about. The other thing as well is because people have basically seen this and then they've gone, well, look at what she said last year or whatever year it was, and it was, she basically said her job is to make men uncomfortable. It's like, right, so now you've opened yourself up to this. And, it goes without saying, the Star Wars fan base can be quite toxic at times.
Yeah.
As can, frankly, any fan base. But the worrying thing is seeing this now being tied in with that is 2/3 of the Star Wars fan base is male. It's like, so are you going to approach it with you're going to try and make all of them uncomfortable?
Either way, they need to just cancel this. They need to just... If she'd come out and she had said, right, okay, so I'm aware of all the negativity surrounding the sequels. My job is going to be to try and not necessarily fix it, but take Rey on a journey.
Undo some of the damage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And try and, like, paint her in a different way. Like, they'd probably have more respect and people might watch it. Yeah. But now it just feels like the more and more stuff that's coming out about this, people are just less inclined to actually watch it.
Because I've already seen that people think this will be Star Wars' worst box office.
Probably.
Which is quite crazy because the sequels, despite them being terrible, did really well in the box office.
I think that was more of just people wanted to see where it was going, what the end was going to be.
And people hearing the Emperor's voice and thinking that was going to be a good idea.
Yeah. Well, at the time, there were people that did like the sequels. There still are to this day. Yeah. They're out there somewhere.
There's a special name for those people, and those people are called idiots.
Oh, I thought you were going to say something else there. Never mind, continue.
Or Bantha fodder, if you want me to make a Star Wars joke, Bantha fodder. No. Yeah, like it's like icky, isn't it? Like,
yeah.
At the end of the day, someone commented on one of our videos recently where I think it was the video when it was Ahsoka episode 5 where it was they were in the world between worlds.
Yeah.
And someone commented saying that Star Wars is dying a slow, painful death.
Yeah.
And it's things like this that make me kind of go, kind of has a point.
It's like this where we all collectively say, please, Dave Filoni, or our only hope.
Yeah.
It's like, just stop.
Even that, I would quite happily have make the film, right? Mm-hmm. Stop making stupid comments, because this is a stupid comment. Yeah. Right? Because Star Wars fans don't forget.
Yeah, this will come back to haunt her in the next.
Not only do they not forget things like this that get said, but they also don't forget every character. So like we did there, just off the top of our head, we named all of those female characters.
There's probably some that we forgot, to be honest.
Yeah, and it does it just baffles me. It baffles.
Like Saw Gerrera's sister.
Yeah.
She was quite a good character.
Yeah. Right on. Yeah. So saying all this, what you're basically doing, in the eyes of the majority of Star Wars fans, you're basically going, well, you clearly don't know enough about Star Wars.
Which is an issue.
Because even in the sequels, Leia is the leading, voice in the war against the First Order.
Yeah.
Laura Dern does a ridiculous thing, and when I say ridiculous, I mean ridiculous in the worst possible term, because it pokes a gigantic hole in Star Wars lore. But she's the one that saves, the Republic. And there's Rey, and there's Maz Kanata.
Even in the newer shows, like Mon Mothma's come into it a lot more, hasn't she?
Yeah. Well, Mon Mothma was in Rogue One as well. She did quite a bit in Rogue One. It does just feel like...
It feels like she's referring to just the movies. Like she doesn't know about all of the other shows. You know what I mean?
But you would think, at the very least, she would look at the sequels. And then to claim that there's no female characters who've shaped the galaxy is quite ridiculous.
Yeah.
Claiming that your film is going to be the first one to do that with a character that did it in one of the other films is...
I was referring to the filmmaker bit. If it was the filmmaker that she was referring to, she probably just doesn't even know about the shows or whatever.
But then that's also quite a small-minded view to say, whatever, to view television shows as less than films, considering everything is television shows nowadays. There hasn't been very many highly anticipated films that have done well in the cinema. Less people are going to the cinema.
Yeah, it's all about like the streaming services and stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like...
I think Disney is just struggling
as a whole
with Star Wars, but stuff like this isn't helping.
I was going to say in general, just Disney in general.
Oh yeah.
It feels like they just do not have a media training person to basically go, right, don't say anything stupid.
I know, whatever happened to like media training when people just wouldn't say stuff like this?
Yeah, but then
this was like viewed as really it's completely diminishing the work of other women in the industry that have put in the time and the effort to try and make something good out of Star Wars.
Yeah, like all you've got to do is look at the last 2 years, well, the last year and a bit. You had the Rachel Zegler fiasco, where now that film's been pushed back. She's getting all kinds of, negative press. Gal Gadot got the same for saying similar things. Now this...
You're talking about Disney as a whole?
Yeah, just Disney as a whole. Yeah. Like, the company just... But then you look at what Rachel Zegler's saying now about Snow White, and she talks about how it's the foundation and everything, and it's like, well, why didn't you tell her to say things like that before she went out and made an idiot out of herself?
Yeah.
And it feels like this is the same. Like, fair enough if you're going to make films or documentaries where it shows oppression of women or a certain minority or whatever in the past, and you're showing it to shed light. That's, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that whatsoever.
Yeah.
But if you come into a Star Wars film with an attitude like this, where, like you say, you're diminishing the work that other women have put in, and that goes without saying that there's a lot of women that have contributed to Star Wars. You've got not just the filmmakers and the TV showrunners and the makeup artists and the sound designers and the special effects crews and all who've got women in them. You're diminishing characters as well. And it's like, people might think that the characters isn't as important as real life, but it's like, to a lot of people, Star Wars is very important. It's how people meet, it's how people get to know each other, they've grown up with them. For me, certainly, I've grown up with them. I know you've grown up with them.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're just insulting a lot of people. Because you say that there's, whether it's a female character or a female filmmaker, a female character, you're insulting a lot of people who loved Princess Leia. A lot of current people who love Ahsoka Tano or, Mon Mothma or whoever. If it's female filmmaker, then you're kind of either insulting the women who treated things like The Mandalorian and Obi-Wan as very big deals, which they were, or you're insulting, people who view TV as a big deal. And it's kind of... On the 7 or 8 layers now, you're just insulting a gigantic portion. So what's the point? You'd think they'd have people in place to stop them saying things like this that's going to get them in trouble.
Even, I mean, we have our own opinions on her, but Kathleen Kennedy is in charge of Star Wars.
Yeah.
She's a woman.
Yeah.
Like, dependent, I mean, everyone has their own opinion on her and what she's contributed to Star Wars. But she's definitely shaped Star Wars. No one can deny that, so...
Mm-hmm.
I know she's saying it's filmmaker, but before, if her original wording was just, it's about time there was a woman that shaped the galaxy far, far away, or whatever. Like, yeah, this doesn't make sense.
And a lot of people might turn around and say, well, maybe it's us, maybe we don't want to see a female character lead. Can I just say, Rogue One is up there as one of my favourite Star Wars films, and it has a female lead.
Yeah.
I don't care who the main character is, as long as it's a good story. But this makes me not want to see the story.
Thing is, when we first saw Force Awakens, I remember, like, you were disappointed. I was kind of on the fence about whether I liked it or not.
Yeah.
But what we thought was, okay, the way they can make it better is by doing the double cross, have Rey become a bad guy.
And Ben become a good guy.
Yeah, and do all this stuff with Rey and have her, like, really explore the character. And we were hoping that they would add more depth to the character, but she just kept very, like...
Yeah. Like, at the start of Force Awakens, she goes like that, doesn't she? She starts, then she reaches a certain point and just doesn't change for the entirety of the rest of the trilogy.
There's a little flicker when she's fighting Luke. Tiny little flicker.
Yeah.
And then, but that was just, that whole Luke thing was just annoying anyway, but...
Yeah. The thing is, I came out with Force Awakens and I was like, my friends always take the mick out of us now whenever we talk about Star Wars, because we all went to see it when it first came out. And I was sat there watching it like this, the entire thing, taking everything in, and then it just ended, and I sat like that for about 5 minutes, and I was like...
What?
Yeah, it was kind of like, was that it? I was like, I was waiting for you to do something completely different, but it was like... And then, of course, The Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker happened, and I just went, looking back, Force Awakens wasn't too bad, actually. Because it's not about the characters as much as it's about the story. The story has to be good. I could be fine with Rey as she is, as long as every other character was good. But Finn was treated like a joke after The Force Awakens. Poe was treated like a joke after The Force Awakens. Even Leia was treated like a joke after The Force Awakens. And I know everyone will say, obviously, she passed away after The Last Jedi, so they couldn't really do anything. But it's like, you've got Carrie Fisher. She spends the majority of The Last Jedi asleep. It's like...
Yeah.
All
of a sudden she's just trained as a Jedi.
Yeah. And
she didn't need that. I know that bugged me a bit, because I always thought she didn't need to be.
Yeah. But then you've got... And they thought that the best thing to do was have Laura Dern take charge, who hasn't been in it until this film. So already people are like, well, why is she taking charge? Who's she? We don't know who she is. And she spends the entire film just crapping on Poe for the simple crime of, I would like to know what the plan is. Like, that's his entire story arc in The Last Jedi is, I want to know what the plan is. And her going, you don't get to know the plan. And then she's surprised when he mutinies against her. Like, that's not a good female character.
Yeah.
She's a terrible female. And then, listen, Kelly Marie Tran didn't deserve what she got, but her character was awful as well.
Was that Rose? Yeah.
They thought they'd do the really clever thing where the woman lectures, the bloke about slavery. This bloke who was taken from his home as a child, forced to be a soldier for his entire life. She thought she'd educate him about slavery, and it's like, you sit there and you... I remember sitting there, and then the end bit where she says, it's not about whatever, it's about fighting for the people we love. I was like, oh my god, what am I watching? And to be fair, I did come out and say, it looked pretty. The whole film looked pretty.
I mean, like, the sequels did look pretty. It
just doesn't save bad storytelling. It's like...
Looking good doesn't equal a good movie. There are people that think that.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, why'd you like the sequels? Well, it looked really good, and then you know, like, no, I don't. Yeah, it looked pretty, but what else?
I was so sure, because The Last Jedi, The Force Awakens came out first, and then the year after Rogue One came out, and then the year after, like that's how they did it. Like The Last Jedi, then it was Solo, then it was Rise of Skywalker. I was so sure I wasn't going to like Rogue One. And I was like, I'm going to love The Force Awakens, and I'm going to hate Rogue One. Because I was sitting there going, well, Rogue One's just a silly throwaway line that they're using to cover up a plot hole.
Yeah.
Which is that, one shot into one tiny little hole is going to destroy the whole Death Star, which was essentially the plot hole that people... So they made the film just to fill in that plot hole, and it somehow was the wrong way around, in that I just adored Rogue One. Like, it's such a simple plot.
Because Rogue One, it was simple. There was no there was lightsabers at the end, the very end, but there was there was no lightsaber battles. That's what I'd probably say.
Yeah.
Lightsaber massacre. It was just about the group of people that were just trying to make a difference in this big galaxy.
Yep.
And I mean, it looked great. It did look really good, and it was just a good movie.
And almost everything happens through the female lead.
Yeah. There was the right amount of fan service.
Yeah. Yeah. There was returning characters. People were whinging about the way Grand Moff Tarkin and Princess Leia looked, but I didn't care. It would have been more weird to not have them in it.
Yeah.
But that just showed, like, it's just basic things that Disney as a whole seem to be struggling to grasp. It's such a basic thing to get a good character who just happens to be female. The gender's not important. Like, Jyn Erso's gender's not important. It's not...
Yeah. It's about what she contributes to the story, which is that she's the daughter of Galen Erso.
Galen Erso, yeah. And it's just baffling me that Disney and Star Wars are struggling this hard to create likeable female characters. Because it feels like every time they introduce a new male character, I like them, and it's not because I'm sexist. It's because they actively go, well, the women aren't flawed at all women are perfect, but the men, they're really flawed. They've all got these issues. That's why we like them.
More relatable.
Yeah, make the women and we'll like them. That's why I like Jyn Erso.
I was saying at the beginning, though, it's like, it's not just giving me this person and saying, don't worry, we've got a strong female character for you, look at her, she's the best person ever in the whole world, she's the most strongest person. It's like, okay, and why do I like this person? What's her backstory? What's so special about her? How did she get to this point? What trials did she go through?
How is she relatable?
Yeah, what obstacles did she overcome?
None. None. She got off a world with a lift from a mysterious stranger, then she was allowed to travel with them. And then, she was just better than everyone. Is that relatable?
Remember when we said we weren't going to go on a rant?
Yeah, I know.
It's hard not to.
I know. So we'll do our final points.
Yeah.
So...
Star Wars sequels are rubbish. Oh, is that not the point you were throwing now?
Well, that's not what I was going to say, but, good point. Yeah. Yeah, well said. I'm
not looking forward to this movie. I don't know why I'm pointing, but I want to get my point across.
That's a woman saying that, by the way, so you can't accuse me of being sexist.
No.
But no, I think it's going to be a big flop as well. I think it's going to really struggle.
The more that's... Yeah. It's... Yeah. Poor Daisy Ridley at the end of
the day. Do
you
you know what? I really like Daisy Ridley as an actress as well. She's not to blame for the character. Because in the few scenes where she has to show actual emotion, she shows them well. You can see in the film, if it was done right, where she would have been able to shine as a character. But they just didn't do it right.
If they gave her more emotional range and allowed her to actually, do something.
Didn't just say, well, you're just better than everyone, basically.
Yeah. You're going to beat Luke, who's Luke Skywalker.
Luke Skywalker, yeah.
That's all I need to say on that. Yeah.
But yeah, it would not surprise me if this lady Sharmeen comes out and says more stupid things. Saying that she might do something. What's her name? I can't remember her name. Another woman who directed Charlie's Angels. The new one. She was in Pitch Perfect.
I know exactly who you're talking about.
I feel like
can't
it's a
remember her name.
Catherine.
No.
Is it Catherine?
No.
I don't. I'll put the name up in the video. You'll see the name. Basically, she came out, and when Charlie's Angels was happening, she turned around and she said, "Well, she's been, made to go and see male-dominated superheroes, and I think it's about time we return the effing favour." And it was kind of like guilt-tripping men into going and watching these. It's not a superhero film, but
Yeah.
Guilt-tripping men into going and watching films isn't how.
You get people to actually watch the film.
Yeah, you make a good film.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman broke $1 billion. Captain Marvel, despite not being very good, broke $1 million easily.
Billion.
$1 billion, sorry. Yeah, billion.
I'd like to think it broke $1 million.
$1 billion, yeah. And it would not surprise me if she came out and said something like that. And said, for years, men have been going to watch male-dominated Star Wars films.
Yeah.
Let's keep it. And it's like...
We went to watch the sequels.
I know, and it's...
With the same character in it.
The Force Awakens, I think wasn't that one of the highest grossing Star Wars films of all time. It did
really well, yeah.
It was a massive film, and it was like, we don't care about the... I feel like Disney at this point needs someone at the highest level, and this will be my last point, I promise. Disney needs someone at the highest level to basically go, shut that person up, because all you have to do is think and look.
Like, they signed contracts. Surely there's a clause in the contract that says, do not say stupid things because it will ruin this movie. Like, they need to start doing that, because it's just... I don't know what else to say about it.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see, right, that if this film comes out first, or if the Heir to the Empire film comes out first.
It might come out really similar times. I imagine probably not. They might come out a year apart.
Yeah, they won't come out in the same year. But what'll end up happening is, either they'll turn around and do a similar thing to what they did with Solo, right? Say this one comes out first, and they go, oh, people aren't watching Star Wars films anymore, they're not going to the cinema to see them anymore.
So we're going to cancel.
We'll not cancel it, we'll make it into a show. Because that's essentially what Boba Fett and Kenobi
was meant to...
was going to be a film. It's going to be 3 films with Solo.
Yeah. And
the thing that was linking them was...
they were all going to be films, weren't they?
Yeah, they were all going to be films.
Solo,
Darth Maul, that's who was going to link them.
Yeah.
It was all going to be related.
He was going to be the big bad, yeah.
Yeah, he was going to be related to all 3 of them. But they obviously, with Solo not doing well, because people weren't happy that...
People boycotted it because...
It wasn't Harrison Ford.
Yeah, who was way too old to play. I think it's 20-year-old himself or whatever.
They cancelled it. And it wouldn't surprise me if this film comes out first, they'll go, right, we'll just turn those into shows. And that'll be but if that one comes out first, I feel like a lot of people will go and see it.
Yeah.
If Heir to the Empire film comes out first, a lot of people will go and see it, and then they'll basically see what happens when you annoy the Star Wars fan base, because no one will go and see this one. And they'll basically be like, oh, well, actually, knowing Disney and how deluded they are, they'll basically go, oh, well, the fan base is sexist. Well...
No, it's because your directors say stupid things online.
Yeah. And
because we just don't like the character.
Yeah.
She's just...
Make a film about Finn. Make a film about Poe.
Yeah.
I would have a lot more respect for them if they turned around and went, it's about time that a black character took center stage. I'd be fine. I'd be like, you know what? Fair enough.
Give us more on Finn.
Yeah, because people could then say, well,
show us the darker side of Star Wars, like him getting taken from his family and forced to be a soldier
growing
and
up
stuff.
as a stormtrooper.
Do it.
Yeah.
Give it to me. I'll be happy.
I would be fine with that. And John Boyega frankly deserves a lot better than he got.
Yeah.
I would be happy with that, as opposed to this, which is kind of like, I don't understand. I don't get it.
Was that all your final point?
No, my final point is I don't blame Daisy Ridley.
Yeah.
Because Daisy Ridley at no point has ever come out and said anything like this.
She actually seems like she quite likes Star Wars.
She does.
She was quite excited to be in Star Wars.
Yeah, she was excited to meet Mark Hamill and all them.
Yeah,
because
as you
wouldn't be?
I don't even know what I would do if I met Mark Hamill.
I'd probably fall over.
Get on your knees and say thank you for your service.
Yeah. Because it was the Joker as well.
Yeah. You could do the Joker voice.
Say a Luke Skywalker line in the Joker voice. No, but you know what it is? It's sad. He said he's not going to do the Joker anymore. because Kevin Conroy passed away, who was his Batman.
Which is really respectful, actually.
And lovely. Isn't Mark Hamill just a lovely
he's just
person?
lovely. We like Mark Hamill.
I hope I meet him one day.
I just give him a hug. That's all I want. Just hug me, please.
That was us talking about this nonsense. Feels like this is all we react to.
Idiocy.
Yeah, like stupid people saying stupid things. Yeah. Came forward to shape a story in a galaxy far, far away. That's what she originally said.
Good for you.
Anyway. That's us. That was us reacting to this. What? 15 years out from the Rise of Skywalker? Post-war. The Jedi are in disarray again? What? Right, anyway. Stop reading, because I don't want to read. Let us know what you think.
Where does it say about 15 years post? Well, we're 15 years out from Rise of Skywalker, so post what? Post First Order.
And the Jedi
in disarray. The Jedi just need to get a grip of themselves.
So what has she been doing for 15 years?
Walking around saying I'm a Skywalker.
Yeah, talking to random sand people going, I'm a Skywalker. Oh, that's so stupid. Oh! Oh! I wish I'd never read it.
I have to apologise, I did scroll down, but I just wanted to see what else she had said.
That's so stupid.
There's a lot of discussion around who are the Jedi? What are they doing? What's the state of the galaxy? She's attempting to rebuild the Jedi Order based on the books, based on what she promised Luke. So that's where we're going.
So what the heck has she been doing for 15 years? There was only like 7 books. 7 books that Luke had. There was about 7 of them. And she spent 15 years reading 7 books. They're not going to show us immediately after her actually reading the books, learning, training. No, of course not. That would be too easy. 15 years later and the Jedi are still in disarray. At this point, Dave Filoni needs to form a mutiny against Kathleen Kennedy. The Star Wars fandom just needs to come together to remove her.
Just lift her out of the building.
Yeah. Oh, God. Katie, why did you make me read that? I'm going to have nightmares about this now.
Of course, was it Kennedy? So it was Kathleen Kennedy that said it.
Christ on a bird.
Why is the Jedi always in disarray?
I bet with the first, you know the one, if they'd done the first Jedi thing, I bet he wouldn't have taken 15 years to become a Jedi. And that was him discovering how to use the Force. That would have been done in like a year. 15 years, she's the most powerful thing there's ever been in the universe. How is she taking 15 years to form the Jedi again? Fair enough, people have to grow up, but if she can do it, why can't everyone else? Just become instantly oh, God.
What about that little boy on that planet we don't know the name of? That
No, he's not allowed to be a Jedi. Not him.
Sorry, little boy, you're not good enough.
You're not allowed to be a Jedi. You sweep those floors. Because they've got... What was it they were riding? Weird camel fox things.
It was like a horse race for like weird space horse.
You clear that space horse poo up. Oh my God.
This wasn't meant to be a random.
I think I've just nearly pooed myself in rage.
My God. That's concerning.
That hurt me right in the soul.
We were just talking about what she said, never mind what Kathleen Kennedy's come out and said.
God's sake. It should not be this hard to make a Star Wars film. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be this hard. Why is it this hard? Kate, why is it this hard? Why is it this hard to make a Star Wars film?
I don't know.
Do you know how we're rewriting the DCEU? We're rewriting Star Wars as well. Anyway, that was us doing this. Let us know what you think down in the comments.
Yeah. Let us know what you think in the comments. Do you like Kathleen Kennedy?
If your answer's yes, then you need to remove yourself. Like the video, subscribe, ding the bell, be notified when we upload. We upload every day. Katie.
A positive take out of it, Daisy Ridley was really out of her mind excited to return to the franchise.
Good for her.
Sorry.
Is there anything else you want to say?
I'm afraid to say anything in case there's more anger that
No,
comes.
it's fine. It's not anger anymore, it's sadness. My soul has been shattered. I don't know how many more times my soul can be shattered before I'm just a husk. Anything else you want to say?
No, we'll just end it there. I'm afraid to say any more in case more comes.
Hopefully the next time we do a video like this, it's something happy.
It never is.
Let's pick a happy thing. Like
what?
I don't know.
What happiness is there in the world?
God, I wasn't that depressed. Now I'm really depressed. God.
Well, you've got us there. That's...
Thank you for watching. God, that was really depressing, Katie. Jeez. Cheer up.